In just about 15 minutes, we're going to be covering the very basics of Python tuples through a ton of different examples. We're going to start by building your first tuple, then we're going to slowly progress and cover different concepts such as packing and unpacking, looking at like the length, the max, min, indexes, as well as creating new tuples from other tuples. And we're going to complete the video by taking a look at loops, as well as a use case where we're going to use a tuple within a function, and then we're going to unpack it to variable. There's a ton to cover in a short amount of time, so let's start coding. All right, so let's build out our first tuple. So we're going to call this tuple 1, and we're going to say that equals, and we're going to open up these parentheses right here, and just put a few numbers. I'm just going to put 1, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. And just like that, if you run your code, you have created your first tuple. Now, you can access specific elements from these. Remember, tuples are ordered, and you can just do that through tuple 1. And if you want to grab the first element, you start with 0. And you can see that comes back with 1. Well, if we wanted to grab the second or third one, right? Let's say we want to grab the second one. Go over here and put a 1 instead. And the reason why is in Python, you start with 0. So 0 is that first element. So you look at 0, 1, 2, and also 3. You can also grab multiple elements. So what we can do is go over here and say tuple 1, and we can go 0 through 2. And what this is going to do is this is going to grab the first two elements. So how this works is it starts at 0, right? Grabs 0. Then goes to 1, does that. And then it stops at 2. So if you want to have 2 also included, you want to go an additional 1 and say 0 through 3. And you can see it's 1, 4, and 5. Now, if you wanted to just quickly copy your entire tuple, all you have to do is say tuple 1, and I'm going to call this copy, and that's going to be equal to our tuple over here, and we're just going to have a colon, like that, and this is getting the same exact result. So this will grab everything, and you can see 1, 4, 5, and 6. Now, if you wanted to grab the length of a tuple, you can just go over here and length and throw in your tuple. So I'll just grab tuple copy. It doesn't really matter. They're the same. And you can see it's a length of 4. There's 4 elements in here, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's how we get that. We can also find the maximum and the minimum in here. So we can just grab max, and that should work as expected, right? So 6. And then if we wanted to grab the min, just go over here and type in min. You can see the minimum in here is 1. Okay. Now I wanted to show you something that's a little bit interesting, but it's creating a tuple with only one element. And to do that, I'm going to create a new tuple. I'm going to call it tuple 2. And we're going to put equal over here. And I'm going to change the element. So it supports more than just numbers. I'm going to put a string in here, which is going to be Ryan. And you would think this would work for only one element, but you have to also put a comma here and just a space. So that's how you set that up. And then if I wanted to print this out, you can see Ryan like that. Awesome. And if you wanted to do an empty tuple, right? I'm going to just say tuple 3. All you have to do is this equals, throw that in here, and that is empty. So, and kind of what I showed you too with this string on here, you can mix elements together. So just to show you really quick how we can do that, tuple 4 equals, and put null 1, oops, I forgot to close that, 1, and also true, and no issues. You can have repeated elements in here, right? Like 1 and true are technically the same, and there's going to be no issues with that. If I wanted to print out tuple 4, null 1, and also true. Awesome. So with combining tuples, you can't actually modify them, but you can create new tuples from existing ones. So let's say I want to have a combination of tuple 1 and tuple 4. I'm going to call this tuple 5. I can say tuple 5 equals, and we can just grab tuple 4 plus tuple 1. Okay. And if we print out tuple 5 now, and by the way, the reason why I don't put print statements on here for Google Colab is I can still see the results. But depending what you use, you might have to. But you can see Nolan 1 true, and then it has 1, 4, 5, and 6 added to the very end. You can also quickly delete a tuple. So you can just put delete like this, put tuple 5 there, and tuple 5 is now gone. Because if I go here and I try to put tuple 5, right, error, tuple 5 is not defined. So that's how you can delete one. Now there's also a concept of nesting. So what I'm going to do is tuple 6 equals, and inside over here I'll put tuple 1, and then I'll also put tuple 4, and if I grab tuple 6, you can see that each is in here. So instead of what we did earlier where we added these together, or not really added them, but combined them together, right? You can see Nolan 1 true, 1, 4, 5, 6. And I guess I should have changed the order. Let me just change the order on these so they match 1 to 1. That would make a little bit more sense, right? If we go to tuple 6, you can see how nesting works. We have the parentheses for both of these tuples, but they are part of a greater tuple. We also have the ability to convert a list into a tuple. So let's say we have a list over here, and we'll just throw a bunch of stuff in here. Numbers don't really matter. I'm just pressing random stuff on my keyboard. Well, not entirely random, but let's have those here. This is our list. And then if you wanted to literally convert this list into a tuple, you can just say list tuple equals tuple and just throw your list in here. So we'll throw a list like that. And if you check this out, go to list tuple 1, 4, 6, 8, everything that I have over here, and it has been converted. You can also convert part of a dictionary to there. So we'll say, well, I haven't been really labeling the sections, but let's create a dictionary really quick. So we'll say dic like this equals, and inside over here, we'll say A is going to be like 2. We'll have B, which is 5. And then we'll have C, which is what? We'll say 8. Nothing really too special over here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do this time is we'll say dict tuple equals tuple, and then dict like that, and you have to grab your values. So what that's going to grab is this 2, 5, and 8. So we grab the specific values in our dictionary, and if we go over here, 2, 5, and 8. Sweet. So let's keep moving forward a little bit. So I also want to show you that you can multiply out on here. So I want to go look at which one are we going to multiply out. We'll do tuple 2. So we'll say tuple 7, and I don't even remember what tuple 2 was, but tuple 2 times 6. And I guess we should probably put this over here so we can see what it is. So it's just Ryan. So let's see what happens if I do this 6 times, and we take a look at tuple 7. Ryan, which again shows you that with only one element, right, you're not going to have that comma here at the end when there is going to be 6 elements now. So if you want to repeat stuff within a tuple, this is the way to do that pretty quickly. Okay, another thing that's pretty cool to do is in versus not in. I use it a lot with the SQL side of things, but you also have this in Python. So you can just say over here 6 in tuple 1. And that's true because the number 6 is in there. And we can say 8 not in tuple 1. And tuple 1 is going to be an error because I accidentally put a space. And you can see that is also true because there's no 8 specifically in there. All right, so now up next, we're going to take a look at loops. What I'm going to do really quick is create something called Cricket Players. It's going to be another tuple. It's kind of out of order, but why not? And we'll put over here a few names. So Bradman, Trumper, put Grace, Hobbs, and then Ranji. And what we're going to do is loop through all of these. So how you can do that is for, and you can put whatever like name that you want in this next section, I'm just going to put cricketer and then say in cricket players, put a colon, and I'm going to say print cricketer. And again, you could put for I, for X, for whatever you want, for elements, does not matter. I like using what's in a specific thing. So in here is cricket players, so a cricketer, okay? And run that and print it, and you can see each line has one of these cricket players. Okay, awesome. Now, there's another concept that goes well with this, and it's called packing and unpacking. So you can see how I have 5 cricket players over here. Well, with the tuple, we can assign new variables based around what's inside over here. So how we can do this is I can say cricketer 1, and I'm gonna literally just copy and paste this multiple times. So it's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just rename these. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're gonna say that's equal to cricket players. So like this, okay? And watch what happens now. So if we go over here and if we want to take a look at cricketer 1, cricketer 1 is equal to Bradman. We grab 5, it's Ranji. So essentially you can take each of these elements that are in your tuple and you can assign it a specific variable by doing this, which is packing and unpacking. It's pretty important when you build out some functions, and I'll show you an example at the very end. Also, I think functions in my Python playlist will be after this video, so feel free to go back and forth if you want. It's tough covering everything in a specific order at times. Okay, let's talk about sorting. So you can also sort tuples. So we'll create a new tuple. We'll say tuple 8. Again, we'll just throw some numbers that I mash on my keyboard. Not that it matters too much, but all right, that's good enough over here. We'll just run that. And then we can sorted and then just throw in your tuple. So I'll just say sorted, tuple 8, and you can see 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. And you also have the option to reverse it. So if I go over here and just put reverse equals true, reverse equals true, right? 8, 6, 4, 3, 2. And before we jump into some other stuff, I know probably should have showed it a little bit earlier in the video, but you can't modify it. Like you can change the order, but you can't modify a specific element in the tuple. So if I wanted to go over here and say tuple 8, and we'll say 0 equals, I don't know, 100, you're going to see that this runs an error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. So you can't do that. You can sort it, but you can't do this. And I don't know if I should have showed it a little bit earlier in the video or showed it here. Either way, it's a pretty important concept to grasp. I also want to show you that you can find how many times something appears within a tuple. So I'm going to create a new tuple. It's going to be tuple 9, and we're going to say that's equal to 1, 2, 3, 1, and also 1. So you can see the 1 is in here 3 times. And if I go here and create some new code or new cells for my code, what I'm going to say is tuple 9, and we're going to say counts, and we're going to put in 1. That's what we're trying to find the counts of. And you can see it says 3. Now, you can also find the index of something in a tuple. So if I want to go over here and do the index of 2, you can see that it says 1. And the reason why it shows 1, if you remember earlier in the video, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's correct, right? If we're looking for 2, that takes place at 1. Awesome. So I want to show you one last thing, which is returning values from a function, which I find this pretty helpful. So I'll create some new stuff. So what I'm going to do is define, we're going to say square calcs, and we're going to take an input of a length. So from basic math, right, a square, 4 sides, they're all the same length. So how we calculate some stuff, area equals length times length then perimeter equals 4 times length. Again, all the same sides. And what we're going to do is return the very end. We're going to return both area and the perimeter. So we're returning two values, right? Area and perimeter. And it's going to be returned as a tuple because it's two values on here. So we're going to run that. We're going to say result equals, and we'll have square calcs, and I'm going to put in 5. Okay. Now, 5 area-wise would be 25, perimeter would be 20. So how do we get the results from the tuple? Well, if we go over here and we do result 0, you can see it's 25. If we go here to get result 1, it's 20, which is awesome because we know that is working properly. And remember the concept that I showed you a little bit earlier, how you can grab each of these elements like cricketer 1 through 5 on these cricket players. Well, this is why it's important, right? We can go over here and say area and perimeter equals result. And area is 25. Perimeter is 20. So let me just recap this one more time for you guys. So tuple, all it is, parentheses, and then some numbers here on the inside. Remember, you can't change these specific numbers and they are ordered, okay? If you want to grab a specific element, just put the number over here. Remember, it starts with 0. And you can also grab a selection. It's called a slice. But remember, first number, colon, and then where you want to stop. So if you want to get the second element, go one additional. Max, min, length, different things like that. There's a lot of methods out there that you could use. You can have multiple types within a tuple. You can see I use a string, 1, and also true. You can also repeat elements, right? I have 1 multiple times. There's a few ways that you can create new tuples from others. So I showed you how to add them. I also showed you how to delete. I also showed you how we can just put 2 tuples inside of a tuple, converting lists, dictionaries into tuples, and then in versus not in, also a loop, then grabbing all the different elements within a tuple and setting their own variables, and why you can't modify, count, index, and lastly, a really good use case where you're going to use a function and you have multiple results to return from that function, and you can use a tuple for that, grab specific things that you want, and also break them out into their own specific variables. So that was Python tuples. If you found some value in this video, make sure to subscribe. I produce these videos for free every single week. In fact, I upload 2 to 3 times weekly on this channel. Now, if you want to continue with this basic Python playlist, I have multiple videos down below in the description, as well as a playlist right over here. So check those out. Or if you want to jump into like data analytics or data science, I have full boot camps on the channel that you could watch.